All right, guys. Today, it is the day after the FOMC meeting. We have Oracle dragging markets down. If you look at Oracle right here, Oracle reported earnings yesterday. It's down to 195. It's a pretty big drop from the 220s it was at prior to the earnings. Honestly, I might buy the dip, but I'm also a little bit worried about buying the dip as well. So I have to look at some of the margins and numbers behind Oracle before I actually do buy the dip, but I'm looking at it. Market's kind of rebounding some. You can kind of see the big drop that we faced yesterday at the close of the day from Oracle earnings right here. But since then, we're kind of rebounding back up some in the NASDAQ at the very least. Look, we're going up to 650 in the NASDAQ. Gold is red on the day. Oracle's obviously red. Bitcoin is down to 90,000. And yeah, markets are still digesting the Fed meeting, which was mostly a neutral cut. Data dependent cut, refused to give guidance on what we were going to do in January. Basically said we're going to wait for the data, but as of now, markets are pricing in 80% chance of a pause in January. Although this is subject to change because, again, we're going to have economic data next week. We're going to have jobless claims today. We're going to have Tuesday next week the November labor report. Retail sales and more on Tuesday next week. And then on Thursday, we're having CPI inflation data. If the labor report shows weakness and CPI shows lower numbers, then it'll increase the odds of a rate cut in January. So we'll see what happens. Honestly, at this point, usually I'll make a prediction in terms of what we're going to do in January. You can see yields are currently sitting at about 4.13% right now. Usually I make a prediction about what we're going to do. I really don't know what we're going to do in January. I think there's a good chance that we pause at least one meeting and then resume cuts the next. And so I think we could pause in January and then resume in the Fed meeting in March. I think that's possible. I also think we could cut in January if we get justifiable numbers for a cut. But yeah, markets are pushing back up after dropping from Oracle earnings. Oracle's down again over 10%. The earnings were $2.10 per share. I'm showing, I have to look at what the adjusted earnings numbers are. Let me go all the way back to yesterday. Maybe I should have stuck around for Oracle earnings. Yeah, Oracle I'm showing posted 226. Better than the expected number though for Oracle. But let me look at what these numbers were. Oracle reported revenue of $16 billion for its fiscal second quarter. Apparently Oracle, the biggest problem with Earnings Whisper is that it doesn't let me go back in history and look at the, not easily. Yeah, it looks like Oracle did much better in margins than expected here. I'll have to look at what the PE ratio is, but Oracle down a lot. Yeah, I'm looking at Oracle now. Okay, so yeah, Oracle posted 16.1 billion in revenue, which missed the forecast is what really happened. That's why it missed revenue forecasts. Expectations. Oracle. Non-GAAP operating income 6.7 billion. 226 adjusted EPS, beat the 164 estimate. Sales missed though. So yeah, Oracle missed revenue. And gap down 10% because apparently right now you have to beat or you're going down. And again, you can kind of see Oracle's big drop is down to 195 after missing revenue. Its margins were okay. What's the PE ratio of Oracle now? That's what I want to look up. But the NASDAQ is not really feeling it that much. NASDAQ's starting to bounce back here. NVIDIA gapped down in sympathy with it. It's at 180s now. Hit 178. It's like right at its low after this earnings report. Yeah, but again, the market's dropping because of Oracle. Yeah, so people are worried about the AI spending cycle, stretched valuations, and mega cap tech stocks. Today's kind of post-Fed digestion move, so like markets are going to be digesting the Fed meeting yesterday. It doesn't happen right at once. Sometimes it happens over the next few days, and so. And people are saying this is profit taking in Bitcoin's run after mid-90s. You know, we're probably going to get Hassett as the next Fed chairman, and he was a previous Coinbase executive, so that should be good for crypto as well. Again, markets are digesting, futures are off, Oracle's down, dragging them down, crypto is backing off, traders are now repricing. What this easing cycle is going to be is what this really is. But the NASDAQ, not even struggling in this. Look at the NASDAQ. Again, NVIDIA bouncing back. Apple, green on the day. Meta is rebounding a little bit. Google's almost green on the day. Bitcoin's bouncing back as we speak right now. It's at 90.3 thousand. Microsoft is rebounding a little bit. So tech is bouncing back some. I don't really want to short this right now. India-U.S. trade negotiations are progressing well, according to Goyle. Yeah, so China is leading the objections to the president's reprieve on global minimum tax. And yeah, markets are up today. We got jobless claims, unemployment data coming out live today. 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. We also have trade deficit data. I think we got some updates in some of the data yesterday as well. It happened during the FOMC meeting, so I didn't really cover it because stuff was going on. The December employment situation. So we're going to get the December jobs report Friday, January 9th. That's no change. We're going to get CPI Tuesday, January 13th. We're going to get PPI for October. Or no, I'm sorry, we're not getting PPI for October. It's straight up canceled. We're going to get PPI for November in January now on Wednesday, January 14th now. And everything else just got pushed back. We got some other stuff going out, but nothing else that's really moving things. What's up, guys? John, can you explain why the market went down even after the Fed rate cut and dovish Fed? Well, I would say the Fed was more neutral. I would think their path next year shows slow easing, maybe, but it's relatively neutral. I would also say that the market is down because of Oracle. Oracle, big tech company, released earnings yesterday afternoon, evening, after the closing bell yesterday, and they are down a very large percentage. Now, this is a big tech company. Oracle has a market cap of $636 billion. $636 billion in market cap. This is a very large company. They missed their revenue yesterday. You know, this company is wrapped in AI, and they missed their revenue yesterday. And they immediately gapped down from this over 10%. You can see these moves here. Huge gap down from this move, and this is what most tech stocks are reacting to this morning on the downside in sympathy. Although we're starting to rebound back up in some stuff. Again, here's the NASDAQ. Still red on the day, but is bouncing back some here. Here's the SPY. SPY is looking even better. Gold sitting around 42.45. So again, Bitcoin's down as well. So yeah, also, I see a lot of people saying it, and I don't necessarily disagree with you guys. Buy the rumor, sell the news. Yeah, the real moves are happening. The real moves precede the announcement, right? And then after the announcement, people take profits. Is what really goes on. This is pretty standard in most big catalysts, markets, earnings, Fed decisions. data releases. This is kind of how it goes. Yeah, so again, here, if you want to see the AI spin chart to see really why Oracle is impacting all these tech stocks, again, circular financing is what they call this. But just to put this into perspective, in the midst of this circular financing, here is Oracle, right here. And so this is the company that missed revenue. And so it's enwrapped in AI here. And other AI companies are fearful now. Oracle's earnings. I'm thinking about buying Oracle right now. But I gotta look, what's Oracle's PE ratio? It's 51 right now. Let me see if it goes a little bit lower. Forward PEs are up 32. I don't know if I'm gonna buy it. I have to calculate it myself since the new data just dropped. See, hold on. Yeah, it says 51. Is that with the new drop? I don't know. Is that with the new drop? Where's the Oracle in price right now? I have AI do this for me. I know you can, the way you calculate PE is you add up the last 4 quarters of EPS and then you divide that number by the share price. And so share price is down a lot, so I would assume the PE ratio, but the PE might be better too. I would assume the PE ratio is lower now. I'm trying to see what the updated PE ratio is at the new price of 195 for them. What I'm trying to look. Yeah, so before this print yesterday, sites were showing trailing 12-month EPS in roughly the mid 4s, low 5s. 430 to 530, depending on the source. New gap EPS about 210 for the latest quarter. Basically, it's telling me to get new sources. All right, bro. Okay, here, let's do this the hard way. All right. Stocks. Oracle. Income. All right, guys, so let's do this. Yesterday we got, yeah, okay, so here's the EPS. Let's figure it out. We take 226. This is what they did yesterday, plus the previous one of 147, plus the previous one of 170, plus the previous one of 147 again. Gives us a yearly EPS of 6.9, and then you take the share price, which is right around 195, call it 40, divided by 6.9, and you get a PE ratio of about 28 right now. 28 is not bad for Oracle. Not terrible. Time to buy this. I'm gonna buy a very small amount. Listen, a very small amount right now. I'm not telling you to buy it. I'm not an investment professional, guys. I'm not liable if you lose. Always make your own assessment. Trade smart. I can't guarantee anything. Top 3 worst investor ever. Don't copy me. All right. A little sliver there. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll add to it. I don't know. We'll see. Again, not an investment professional. Yeah, it's a lighter version of quantitative easing. It's not necessarily QE directly, but it's similar enough. You know, it's lighter, but not quite the same thing. All right, so U.S. Commerce Secretary says they wanted a deeper rate cut from the Fed yesterday. Again, Lutnick wanted a deeper cut from the Fed. We got SBF speaking on social media right now. Thanks for the morning math. People are telling me I need to drink my coffee. Listen, guys, I am one of those people where I am hyper annoying in the morning. I wake up and, you know, I just have so much energy in the morning. By 6 p.m., 7 p.m., I'm useless. But I've got so much energy in the morning, regardless of whether I drink coffee or not. I'll be bouncing up and down in the morning. My whole family hates me, except for my son. My son's the same way. My son's bouncing up and down in the morning, too. I'm sorry to do math this early, but it's easy math. Like, I'm a morning person. I love the mornings. Mornings are my favorite time. I get most done in the morning. Like, if I have to do something, you know, if I do it in the morning, I got it, you know. So, I'm sorry. I'm annoying. An annoying morning person. But to be fair, I wouldn't be here if I wasn't an annoying morning person. You know? Right now, it's 6:30 in the morning, Texas time. I've been up for an hour. Basically, you're welcome, is what I'm saying. I expect appreciation here. Bitcoin going up to 90,373. Next time, no calculator? Ooh. It would definitely take me a little bit longer, you know. Oracle is hemorrhaging money and claims 523 billion or RPOs or sound orders, while 3/4 of those come from companies hemorrhaging cash as well. But he's going to pay for GPUs if dead investors, lenders tap out. Yeah, I mean, you might be right, BT. You might be right. But this just has to do with extension. It's down a lot. Seems like a, you know, I mean, it's down a lot. Look, it's a tiny position. No matter what, it's not going to, you know, hurt me in any major way. And, yeah. 4:30 in Vegas? Why you gotta make me look bad, bro? Come on now. You gotta make me look like I'm the early riser, not you. I do like Vegas, though. I am a fan of Vegas, although mostly just for poker reasons. Hey, what's up? What's up, Hole? Alright, guys, we're up to 25.7s here. 25.7s. Yeah, on the 18th, the Bank of Japan is probably going to raise rates, right? If we take a look at Japanese bond yields, the 10-year yield in Japan, still sitting pretty high up there, although it is kind of, like, what is it, dipping down a little bit the last few days? Yeah, it is. Okay. My memory serves me correct. It was shooting up. Now it's actually dipping down the last few days. It's actually down since, like, the 8th and the 9th here for Japanese yields. But it's still looking more likely that the Bank of Japan is going to raise rates on the 18th of this month, which is going to be a big catalyst. Now, the 18th is exactly a week from now. And so we'll see what happens that morning. But the Bank of Japan is probably raising rates on the 18th, and it's a catalyst. You know, the yen carry dynamic. We've had back and forth news for this over the last month or so regarding the Bank of Japan, their higher interest rate standards now. You know, they are tired of essentially being super low interest rate or negative interest rates environment. And again, because of the yen carry dynamic where people use the Japanese low interest rate or negative interest rate environment to buy up US assets with it, because now they're going to have higher interest rates, some of that carry dynamic is unwinding and people are nervous about that. It's causing some negativity in markets. And this is all leading again into the 18th, which is their rate decision, where they're probably going to raise rates. And that might freak people out depending on what their tone is afterwards, like whether they're going to continue to do it or not. Is arguable, but people are still scared of that, and it might cause some volatility. You know, you should probably pay attention to in markets leading into the 18th. So yeah, I don't know if I'm being reckless. I mean, I use this swing trading strategy pretty often. I use this strategy. I did it with Meta. I did it with a bunch of different companies, to be honest. And so it's not really like, look, if I lose money, I lose money. It's very small. I wouldn't say it's reckless. I would say it's calculated. But maybe I'm wrong. You know, again, if we rebound today, I'll take profit today and work. Not something that I necessarily have any stubbornness to hold on to. Will we get a Christmas rally? Here, let me do a poll here. Really, we got jobless claims unemployment today. Remember, guys, jobless claims are expected at 223,000 claims. Now, last time they showed up, what, low at 191K? And so they did show up much lower than expected, showing more strength in the labor market than expected. The reason jobless claims is important, and let me put a timer up, but the reason jobless claims is important is because it's a more real-time look at unemployment. In the context of a lot of the labor reports we get are somewhat delayed. And so this is a more real-time look at it because this is a week-to-week unemployment filings report. Now, it's not perfect data, but it's still relevant for everything going on right now. And again, they're expecting 223,000 unemployment claims. And so we'll see what we get there. We'll see what we get. I'll do a poll here. Does today's jobless claims report show stronger or weaker jobs? Expecting 223K claims. All right, there's the poll. Oracle's 5-year CDs hit 126 basis points, up from 124 at last close after results, according to Reuters, citing market data. Get jobless claims, unemployment today. Okay, so at Edmund de Rothschild 2026 Investment Outlook Conference, Benjamin Melman noted that U.S. AI firms face a competitive disadvantage due to higher electricity prices than Chinese peers. He stated that domestic power supply is insufficient to meet rapidly growing AI demand, while electricity remains significantly cheaper in China. According to Melman, this cost gap intensifies competitive pressure and raises the overall cost of developing AI in the United States. And so that news just came out. Again, Lutnick came out earlier saying he wanted a deeper cut by the Fed. All right, chat. So I don't really know what to do with this market right here. We're down on the day, but we have kind of V-shaped recovery down here as well, you know. And now we're kind of close to back where we were, not quite there yet. So I guess part of me is like, hey, I should short this. The other part of me is like, hey, no, that's trading against the trend here. I'm not sure what I should do. I did have a losing day yesterday. I didn't make money yesterday. I lost. Still green, but looking at our numbers, 63% think we're going to have weaker claims today. 37% think stronger numbers here. Again, this data comes out at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time in about 45 minutes. All right, guys. So this position doing okay. I'm slightly red on the day in my stocks as well, mostly from very small losses in Meta, PayPal, Disney. Some days you just don't do anything. Yeah, I probably should not have traded. Although I don't think I necessarily do terrible. My volume louder than it normally is? Or is this good volume? Let me know. Jobless claims report is for this one is going to be the week ending. I think this is going to be the week ending on the 5th. It's going to be for last week's jobless claims numbers. So the way it typically goes is yeah, it's going to be the week ending on the 6th is what they're going to say. So, it's basically last week. It's usually like the previous week is what the claims numbers are for. Last time it was 191,000. Perfect volume. Okay, good. Yeah, Bitcoin back down to 90K. I'm looking for some other news coming out today. It's a little quiet here. I might short 715s. I'm not 100% sure. All right, guys. Revolut is partnering with Trust Wallet to offer crypto purchases in Europe with 0 fees. NATO's RUT says Allied defense spending and production must rise rapidly. Also been speaking about some other stuff. A little bit too political for me. Yeah, I'm seeing Sam Bankman. What's his last name? I forgot his. Oh, Sam Bankman-Fried. I'm seeing posting on X. He's still in jail, but yeah, I saw the 5-year CDs hit 126 basis points, up from 124 at the last close. I mean, it was Oracle that's causing these big market drops. Again, the market's down from Oracle earnings. Oracle's down over 10% from their numbers, right? So Oracle's down. They're at 195s right now. So Oracle is what's really down today. It's what's dragging most markets down. Again, the circular finance thing has Oracle right in the center of it. If you look at it, this is Oracle right here. So Oracle being weak is scaring a lot of other people. And it's one of the reasons the NASDAQ is still red. The SPY is still red. You know, a lot of markets are still red because of it. Adobe had earnings. They're kind of neutral from it. They're down a little bit, but it's not like a crazy, crazy drop like Oracle is. NATO's rut says we must be prepared for the scale of war our grandparents or great-grandparents. I mean, not that I'm necessarily disagreeing with that. I don't know if it's necessarily. Yeah, I'm just not going to comment on that. Oracle is stating they can't generate enough revenue fast enough. Yeah, so Oracle missed our revenue numbers by a small margin, but they still missed revenue. They beat EPS, which is margins, and they missed revenue. Oracle beat EPS. They missed revenue numbers. Specifically, they showed up at, where was it? I just had it up. Oracle posted 226 EPS. Really beat the EPS numbers, the margins. Sales missed though. Sales they expected at 16.21 billion. They only showed up at 16.05 billion. So they missed revenue. That's why Oracle's down. It's because they missed revenue. It wasn't a double miss. They beat EPS margins by a pretty big amount. They showed up at 226 versus 164 expected. But they missed revenue at 16.05 billion is what they showed. They expected 16.2 something. Oracle exec did say they expect 26 capex will be about 15 billion higher than forecasts after Q1. Yeah, I would say markets generally react more to the revenue than they do EPS, although EPS is important as well. Lowe says Supreme Court finds breach in connection with underlying partnership remains tortuous interference issue. Tortuous interference issue. Yeah, we're pulling back to the 680 level. I don't know what to do with the market here, though. I really don't. Rebounded a lot. It's kind of flat right now. Like, I'd love for it to keep going up, but I also expect us to maybe pull back a little bit from where we are now. Maybe at least before the opening bell. Like, a bounce looks like the obvious play. Sometimes the obvious play is not the right play. Are we going to bounce here at 680 is what I'm wondering. Bitcoin's still falling a little bit here, though, chat. Look at Bitcoin. It's down to 223s. 90K 223s. Yeah, Broadcom. 407s. Wall Street wants perfect numbers. Yeah, I mean, especially from tech stocks. I think they're being much more strict on tech stocks the last few months, especially. Like, tech stocks, they've been really strict with. So, I think Broadcom already had earnings. I don't think it's this week. I think big earnings. Today after... Oh, we do have Broadcom. I'm wrong. Broadcom is this afternoon. Broadcom drops at 4:15 Eastern Standard Time, along with Lululemon and Costco. So Broadcom's big. I'm not gonna stream it. It's not a Mag 7 stock, so it's not stream, but it's relevant. It's important. We do have Broadcom today. Yeah, oil sitting at 57. It's down pretty significantly as well. Bitcoin's still falling though, guys. Look at it's at 90.215 now. Might short this here, guys. I'm gonna short this a little bit, just small. A little fishing trade. Like, we'll see if we can get a good position going that we can add to, but we're just gonna take. A lot of stuff started to rebound, and that's good, but dip some more. And gold at 42.44s. Even after we got rate cuts and hawkish Powell got dumped hard. I wouldn't say Powell was hawkish. I'd say he's neutral. He didn't really. I would say he talked more about weakness in labor than he did weakness or high inflation. You know what I mean? Like, he even got a question, like, from somebody that was obviously much more hawkish. He even got a question. It was basically like, hey, how come you're not acknowledging the weaknesses to inflation? And Powell yesterday said a very similar thing to what I've been saying, which is that at a certain point, you got to acknowledge the weakness in labor. At a certain point, the weakness in labor needs to be looked at. And so it's not like Powell was super stressing of high inflation risks. He was stressing of both. And he was definitely acknowledging weakness in labor, in my opinion. This is not really a boredom trade, I guess. This is more so just like a very small fishing trade. So like what I'm looking for here is, this is my entry. We have pushed up a lot. I'm going to wait a little while, see if we start to fade back down to some of these levels here. And then if we do, I'm going to add size to it around here and then try to cover it before we rebound. What I'm looking for. So just kind of a slower, longer term, smaller position. What I'm looking for here. Bitcoin right now is falling pretty quickly though. It's at 150s. Not really boredom. I like the idea behind this trade. It's just very small trade. Not an investment professional. Yeah, gold 42.40s. And again, gold's been sitting close to all-time highs for a while now. Video getting the short end of the stick no matter what happens. What do you guys think for Broadcom earnings this afternoon? AVGO earnings. Look at Bitcoin still falling here. And here's Nvidia. Nvidia dipped all the way back down under 180s from Oracle earnings. I'm looking for other breaking news here, but I'm not really seeing much. If Geo needs good guidance. Yeah, I think Broadcom needs to beat and race, is what I think. Very similar to Nvidia. Nvidia needed to beat and raise, and it did. I think Broadcom needs to beat and raise if it wants to go up from its earnings report. Buy Bitcoin. Nvidia 75% margins, a crappy no memory. RTX 6000 Pro 1000 plus Apple. Correction. Go short at 705s. Yeah, liquidity grab short. I mean, our position is pretty small here, to be honest. It's one micro contract. I just want to give it some time and see if it falls back down. All Tudor Jones says the best profit maximizing strategy is to own the fastest horse. I bet will be Bitcoin. Bitcoin on that end though is still falling. It's at 90.1 thousand here. Look at Bitcoin right here. Still dipping down quickly. I don't know where we're gonna go today. Yeah, we got jobless claims unemployment in 3 minutes here, chat. 3 minutes. Look at Bitcoin all the way back down. 90,000 is right here on Bitcoin. Look at this drop. Oh, look at Bitcoin even more here, guys. Wow. Bitcoin is falling. Bitcoin's falling. Is there news on Bitcoin? There's something that's driving this, or is it just big random push down? 90,000 for Bitcoin now, guys. Yeah, we do have jobless claims unemployment today. Jobless claims unemployment. Bitcoin all the way down to 90,000 as we speak here. 90K. Look at these drops all of a sudden. Still in this long position, or this short position. 30 minutes is what I thought I said 30 minutes. If I didn't, I meant 30 minutes. Yeah, I mean, trying to hold on to this position here. 700 maybe is a level right here too, but here's 700. Bitcoin almost exactly at 90,000 right now. A little bit better of a drop here. Bitcoin might bounce off of 90. Oracle followed down a little bit. OPEC MOMR maintains 25 and 26 world oil demand growth forecast at 1.3 million barrel per day year over year, 1.4 million barrel per day year over year, respectively. I think Bitcoin bounces at 90,000 is a psychological level. I made a lot of money watching your show. Well, I'm not an investment professional, guys. I'm not liable if you lose money. Always make your own assessment. Trade smart. I'm gonna cut this. Too close to those highs up there. I might add it right back. It's too close to these highs. I see Nvidia starting to bounce back too. I don't want to get stuck in that. Look at Bitcoin did bounce right exactly at 90K. How come they did the rate cuts and Bitcoin dropped? I think, Bitcoin wants easy. A rate cut was basically baked into Bitcoin's price already at where it was. I think Bitcoin wants easy, and I think the path for easing early next year is uncertain. And that's what Bitcoin's reacting to. I don't think Oracle drops down to 170 today. I think that's pretty far away from where we're at now. Maybe I could have held this short, but again, it was like a $20 loss. I would rather just risk management. I don't want to get stuck in chop either. And if my entry is way down here, you know, I could hold it. I'm just going to get out for the small loss and maybe recalibrate what. A lot of shorts on Bitcoin below 90K. %, isn't it? Move. Yeah, you might be right. Bitcoin's right at the bottom of the range. Powell was a lot more dovish. Yeah, I mean, I think Powell was neutral yesterday. He acknowledged risk to both sides and inflation in the labor market, and I think that's what made the most sense. I think if I'm Powell, I'm going to be neutral yesterday. You know, why? Because you got weakness in labor, you got inflation risks, and we don't have any economic data. This is something he stressed a lot during the meeting, is that we have not had any economic data to help guide the Fed for November yet. We haven't had a November jobs report. We haven't had a November JOLTS report. We haven't had, or no, I have to look at JOLTS. We haven't had a November jobs report. We haven't had a November CPI inflation report. Those are two really important things to guide the Fed and what they want to do. And we haven't had those. Those are all early next week, mid next week. And so because of that and the lack of data there, Powell's not going to be super polarized to one side. You know, he's not going to be hawkish or dovish. He's going to be neutral. You know, people thought Powell would be just super hawkish, and he wasn't. He wasn't super dovish either. If he was super dovish, he'd be like, yeah, it looks like we're going to have to cut more than expected next year, you know, blah, 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 blah. And he wasn't like that either. He was neutral. But a neutral Powell is better than a hawkish Powell in a lot of people's mind. Yeah, most people, I mean, a lot of people expected hawkish Powell. Appreciate he said he's focused more on the economy than his legacy. Seems to be focused on the purpose of role. Yeah, I mean, 100%. He seemed reasonable yesterday. I mean, obviously crypto and Bitcoin, they want like super easing, and he was, but I think even they're kind of happy with what Powell said because he's a little bit more dovish than a lot of them expected. The T-bill purchases is going to be, you know, it's not necessarily QE, but it's similar enough to make people happy. But again, Oracle's weighing on markets this morning, guys. Oracle's down. Oracle's down to 194s from 220s yesterday. Earnings, missed revenue. And, you know, obviously people are not happy about it. Oracle's down significantly. John, you should have held that short. For me, it's risk management. Like, look, I don't mind taking small losses. The way my system goes is very, like, honestly, it's pretty easy. And I've showed you guys my stats, right? But the way my system goes is I'll take little small $20, $30 base hits. And I'll do that for the first few trades I take every day, right? First few trades I take every day, my goal is to build up like a $20 to $60 to $70 cushion. I build up a $20 or $60 or $70 cushion. That's when you'll see me size up much more. You know, so like that, if I build up $60, $70, $100 into the opening bell, then I'll size up much more and I'll take much larger risks after the open because I have a cushion to justify that risk, right? If I fail, I'm back to break even. And then I size back down and do whatever I want to do after that. And so that way, if I lose, it's a small loss because I had a cushion already. Or it's just I wasn't able to build a cushion in the first place with small trades. So it's a small loss regardless. If I win, it's either a small win to build up the cushion, or it's a size up win, which is a nicer win, obviously. And so when I lose small. When I win, it's usually a larger win, and that's the goal. And that's really what I've been doing for the last few months. Should have held that short, though. Definitely should have held it. But again, for me, I was worried we would do this for a long time. And I don't think the thesis of that trade was wrong. I think holding into a pullback would have been correct. But again, I'm kind of in that period where we were up here. I was already down like $20, $30 from the trade. I didn't want to let it roll into a larger loss. And, you know, if that makes sense. Rare for silver price to be above oil price for the amount of time. Silver spot 62, oil's 57. Yeah, I mean, we're in a stagflation situation. I think a Powell that stresses the worries about both ends is a stagflation situation. I think we have inflation fears, and we also have weak labor, right? Now, the question is inflation, the inflation half of stagflation? Like, do we have high enough inflation to call it stagflation? I would argue is the question. I know people might be experiencing price frustration, but a lot of that's from the last 5 years, right? The last 5 years, we've had a lot of stuff happen. The question is the current rate of inflation at 3% high enough to say we have high inflation? That's the real question. And I don't know. Hey, bro. Hey, buddy. Love you, dude.
Love you.
Have a good day, man. All right, so I'm seeing news that says China may keep fiscal deficit ratio at about 4% in 2026, according to Bloomberg. I also see Treasury Secretary Bessent is going to propose a major overhaul of the Financial Stability Oversight Council, according to CNBC. Gaps in data coming out and fierce revisions are a major concern. Tencent has poached ByteDance researchers, according to the information. That's what I'm hearing. A little bit. Yeah, I mean, I think the 40 billion T-bill purchase is going to matter to Bitcoin some. Not full on QE like Bitcoin wants, but definitely was all about leaving the economy in a good place so when the next chair comes, he's responsible. Yeah, for sure. Again, I've said this before. Like, I think Powell, he's not going to want to have a bad legacy. You know? Like, people make it really political. I don't know if it's super political. Yeah, he disagrees with the president some. But the reality of it is, he's pretty data dependent, you know? It's like, people act like his main priority is always jobs. And that, after a certain amount of weakness, you got to pivot to weak labor. And I think he kind of did. But I don't agree with everything Powell does either, though. You know, so... again, U.S. Commerce Secretary Lutnick says the NVIDIA H200 deal was between the U.S. president and NVIDIA CEO, according to CNBC TV. Should have held the short for sure, but again, hindsight's 2020. It's all good. Again, Commerce Secretary Lutnick on NVIDIA H200 chips says that was a deal between Trump and the CEO of NVIDIA, Jensen Huang. The dip overnight was crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's from it's specifically from Oracle. Dollar index falls to 7-week low here. If you look at the Dixie here, dollar index 98.46, 7-week low right here. Bitcoin pushing towards 90K again. Gold, yeah. Hey guys, we got what, 20 minutes left until jobless claims unemployment. Looking at our poll numbers, 56% think we're going to have weaker jobless claims unemployment. 44% think we're going to have stronger numbers here. This is toss right here. You think the Fed would cut into a strong labor market? No. Do you think we have a strong labor market? That's the real question. Because the question in terms of labor depends on whose data you trust. Personally, I trust ADP's data more. Why? Because they're a payroll processor. They have better data than the official data. Official data showed 119,000 job gains. ADP data showed negative 32K. So which one's right is the question. And I would argue the payroll processor's data is probably right. But again, it's arguable. Yeah, Oracle is making people worried. Again, we showed this graph earlier. This is Oracle in the yellow circle. So this is why most of tech is falling down here. Yeah, I mean, this is trading view here for the Bitcoin. This is toss. Right here. Brian. But again, inflation's still a risk as well, right? Inflation's not, it's not like inflation is low. See if 680 rejects it right here. Oracle posted earnings yesterday where they missed revenue. Beat EPS by a pretty big margin, but missed revenue. They say EPS was a one-time thing though, so ultimately market didn't like it. It gapped down 10% plus. Here's Oracle right here. Again, specifically from earnings. And then this afternoon we have Broadcom earnings going live at 4:15 market time. I think the jobs data will be favorable. Okay, but payment processor data can get skewed. People cycling the system and capital from banks. Sure, but I'll put it this way. This is the easiest way to look at it. Regardless of the arguments for ADP versus government, let's look at the revisions we've seen. Okay, so an example of this is for May and June this year. Originally, the official data showed strength in the labor. 100,000 plus, right? ADP data for the same period of time showed weakness. What we eventually saw from that is that the government data was revised to more accurately reflect what the ADP data originally showed for May and June, which was they revised it down by 260,000 roughly jobs. They reduced it by 260,000 jobs, a huge revision. The benchmark revision was almost 1 million. And again, this is reports that ADP data already kind of had the numbers looking weak. They might have not been exactly like mirroring the same thing, but ADP data had weak numbers in that period of time. And so because of this, and because I cover a lot of this data and I'm able to see this dynamic happen, again, right now I trust the ADP data a little bit more, you know, and I think it also makes sense that ADP is a data processor. They might have a little bit more accurate stuff. Again, just from, you know, looking at it, I think that makes sense. Again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, you know, the government data will be more accurate now. I'm not sure. But that's my argument for the ADP data. I don't really have an average, Patrick. I don't like getting too into it. I don't even claim to be a good trader. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose. Do you think there's a rebel possibility where Powell? I mean, it's possible. A lot of stuff's possible, though. Like I said, I could win the lottery every day this week. You know? Whether it's probable is different. I don't think it's probable. Yeah, QE might be coming soon. That'd be true. Powell's not going to get kicked out 4 months before his term ends. I told y'all this 6 months ago. It's just not going to happen. Yeah, some of those questions were rookie questions, man. They really were. Like, somebody asked Powell, hey... what did he ask Powell? It was a really political question. Oh, he was like, yeah, what do you think of the president's tariffs? And he was just kind of like, I knew immediately as soon as they asked that, like, Powell's not going to answer that. You know, like, why are y'all asking him those questions? You know, let me go in there and ask him some stuff. What I would ask Powell specifically is, let me think of a good question. I'll think of one. I'll tell you what I would ask Powell. But let me go in there and ask him. I would ask Powell if he's ever going to wear a red tie. You know, obviously I'm joking, but. All right, guys, we got 11 minutes left. 11 minutes left until jobless claims unemployment data goes live. What do you guys think we're going to get today? Again, last time we showed up lower than expected, which means stronger jobs, less people filing for unemployment week to week. And this is going to be for the week ending last Saturday on the 6th of December. Again, they're expecting roughly 220,000. Last time was 191K. We also have import-export data, trade balance data for September, negative 65 or negative 62.5 billion is what's expected. Yeah, jobless claims are from the Department of Labor. That again, last time they came in at 191, down 27,000 from the prior week, which was the lowest since September of 2022, indicating strong employer retention. Now, this data isn't perfect either. All right, so continuing claims also expected at 1.95 million. Previously, continuing claims showed up at 1.939 million. Get 191,000 last time. They're expecting 220 today for jobless claims unemployment. Okay, we got about 9 minutes left. Yeah, I should have held that short position. Bitcoin bouncing off a 90 here. Yeah. Oracle earnings, Andrew, dragging the market down. Japanese rate decision is on the 18th or 19th, I think. Yeah, we might drop on the rate decision there. Possible. If they raise rates, we probably will. Lower claims means weaker labor, VP. So lower, or no, I'm sorry, that's opposite. Lower claims means less people filing for unemployment, stronger labor. Higher claims means more people filing for unemployment, weaker labor. So higher is weak, lower is better. Lower is better for jobs, higher is worse for jobs. Yeah, Oracle dumped on a big revenue miss. And EPS was better than expected. Here's 90,000 for Bitcoin, bounced directly off of that level. All right, guys, 7 minutes left until jobless claims. 7 minutes. We got about 1,200 people here. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Also, thank you guys for helping me hit 168,000. We did break it. Subscribe. We do this live. You want somebody that covers the data every time it comes out? Subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Do it now. We appreciate it. All right, guys, we got 6 minutes. 6 minutes. Yeah, Oracle posted what they wanted 16.2 something billion. They ended up posting only 16.05 billion, I think, for revenue, and that's why they dropped so much. Again, circular spending and AI is making people scared. Here's Oracle right here. So that's dragging tech down this morning. I should have stayed in the short. The short thesis here would have worked. But again, hindsight's 2020. Yeah, I don't know what the market's gonna do regarding higher or lower claims numbers. I think, you know, you could argue both sides. Lower claims means more potential easing, or no, I'm sorry, higher claims means more potential easing. Lower claims means stronger labor. Both of those things could make the market react well or not. I'm really not sure. The reason jobless claims is important is because it's a real-time look at unemployment. So if the market's worried about weak labor, stronger numbers, lower numbers might make the market react well. If the market wants more easing and wants more rate cuts next year and all that stuff, maybe higher numbers could be seen as a positive thing, even though that means more people filed for unemployment. So in terms of how the market responds, I'm really not sure here. On the day after the Fed meeting, it'll be an interesting thing to look at, though. We'll see what happens. Again, expected at 220,000. 220K is what it's expected. I don't know why I'm stuttering today. Maybe Carol made the coffee. She kind of makes it strong. Maybe that's what it is. When in doubt, blame Carol. That's what it is, I think. We have 5 minutes left. We want Fed to cut in January. Yeah, I think this data, one of the things, that's a good point to bring up, is that this data is going to help guide the Fed in what they do in January, right? In January, it's still undecided. I think last time I looked at it, it was like 80% likely that we're going to pause in January. But one of the things that could change that tune is data, right? So we get really weak labor today, so high unemployment claims, higher jobless claims numbers. That might contribute to maybe more increased odds of a rate cut for January. When you pair that with the labor report next Tuesday, as well as the CPI inflation report next Thursday, you know, this data today could contribute to whether we get a rate cut in January or not. And I do expect yields to react in some ways. Yields are currently at 4.13%. They're down a little bit, you know, since the Fed decision yesterday. They are down from the Fed decision yesterday, which means that markets interpreted it as less hawkish than expected yesterday. Yeah, I mean Carol Baskin, not my wife, you know, different Carol. CPI will help the Fed know if they have room for more cuts. Yeah, for sure, 100%. All right, guys, we got about 3.5 minutes left. Make sure you hit the live button. You put it in 2x speed. You'll catch up to the stream as we cover this stuff. Again, jobless claims expected at 220,000. Give me your last bit of predictions here. Higher or lower numbers, chat. Lower, high. 40 billion. Higher claims. Lower, bro. Pretty split down the middle here. We got 2.5 minutes left, chat. Ugh. All right. Let's see what we get today from this jobless claims report. I'm going to put gold up and maybe the dollar index up here. 98.4s. Bitcoin still right here. Holding at 90,000 as of now. We'll see what this jobless claims report shows. We got 2 minutes left roughly. Again, we do have the balance trade data show up. Previously, it was 59.6 billion. They expect 63.3 billion negative 63.3 billion today. This is the ratio of imports versus exports. And so essentially, we are importing way more than we're exporting. It's the ratio of exports versus imports. So really, we are importing way more than we're exporting because the ratio is negative 59.6 billion last time. I love you. Have a good day. But I mean, that makes sense, right? We're not really a big exporter country. We're mostly importing other countries' goods. We'll see what the dynamic ratio, the ratio there makes. We'll see what that dynamic looks like. All right, guys, we got a minute plus left. Dot plots were way hawkisher. Top 3 most hawkisher thing ever right now, I think. All right, guys, we got 1 minute. 1 minute. Again, big thing affecting markets is Oracle earnings. All right, guys, we got 45 seconds, really a little bit less than that, actually. So hit the live button next to the play button, put it at 2x speed, catch up to the stream. We appreciate it. Gold sitting at 4240s, Bitcoin at 90.1 thousand, dollar index breaking down at 98.442s. Here we go. 25 seconds left. Again, we're expecting 220,000 today. Last time was 191K. Higher claims, I'm going to mute this. Higher claims is weaker for labor. Lower claims is better. We got 5 seconds, 10 seconds left, actually. All right, here we go. And the report goes live right now. Here. Negative 52.8 billion for trade data. Again, negative 52.8 billion. The jobless data is a little bit delayed here. Waited for the jobless data to show up. Hadn't showed up yet. Again, negative 52.8 billion. Jobless claims 236,000 versus 192 expected. 236,000 versus 192,000 expected. Way higher claims than expected. 236,000. Way weaker labor data than expected. 236,000. 236K versus 220,000 expected. Continuing claims also showed up at 1.838 million. Versus expected. Yeah, jobless claims get at 236,000 versus expected 220,000 expected. Way weaker. Market did not like this. Look at this. It's coming down on this report. A little bit more delayed as well. We'll take a look at the actual report here for jobless claims. The jobless claims report. Again, way weaker jobs. Higher jobs than expected here. And again, I'll show you the actual report. In the week ending December 6th, the advanced figure for seasonally adjusted claims was 236,000, an increase of 44,000 unemployment claims from the previous week's revised level. Previous week's level was revised up by 1,000 from 191 to 192, the 4-week moving average. So they revised last week's up to 191 to 192. Higher jobless claims than expected. Look at the NASDAQ react really negatively to this report. Higher jobless claims numbers than expected here. 236,000 claims versus 192,000 expected. Or versus 220 expected, I mean. Again, this is higher or weaker than expected. Higher claims, more unemployment claims than expected is what this means. NASDAQ did not like this data at all. This might increase the odds of a rate cut in January. If we take a look at yields, I'm sure yields are going to be going down on this report. But you never know. They're actually spiking up a little bit. Look at the jobless claims going up. NASDAQ dipped. Here's 650 level right here. Again, higher yields than expected. I'm going to put this data up on screen, but higher claims than expected. 236 versus expected 220. That's not good. That's higher claims. More people filing for unemployment week to week. Here's the numbers right here. We'll put them up on screen as well. All right, there we go. We got Oracle's numbers and all that more. I'm watching yield spike. NASDAQ down to 650. I wonder if we're going to bounce. Bitcoin just cracked under 90,000 here. Look at Bitcoin fall under 90K. Yields will react to this and just give them a little time. They'll react. Look at that 650 level. I'm not going to say my level here is the greatest level of all time. I'm not going to say it. But look at Bitcoin under 90,000 here. Dollar index is spiking up. Yeah, maybe the first move is the wrong move. That's a big wrong move here for jobless claims, I think. Yeah, higher claims than expected here. The weaker votes win on the poll, 57%. I'm going to end this poll. We're going to ask another poll now. Poll is going to be with much weaker claims versus expected. Are you bullish or bearish for the rest of the day? I get 236K. All right, so here's the poll. NASDAQ still flushing down here. Dollar index pushing up. Bitcoin under 90K. See what yields continue to do, though. Okay, so yields are not really moving at all from this. All right, so again, jobless claims unemployment is out. It showed much higher claims than expected at 236,000 versus 220,000 expected. This should affect some stuff today. It should affect some stuff. %, bullish money prints return on. Market would assume a big cut in January. I don't know. I don't think so yet. I think we might see the odds swing a little bit down from 80% where they currently are. Yeah, and we already have. So they went from 80% earlier. Now they're at 78%. So they have swung down a little bit, but I don't know if it's going to be the big influencing thing yet. We got to wait for next week's labor report. We got to wait for next week's CPI inflation report. That's what I think. But the odds did decrease for a pause in January. They're now down 78% versus 80% earlier. Bitcoin back over 90K. Yeah, maybe. Shouldn't market like weak job claims more cuts is better for market? Kind of. I think the people are going to argue right now that these claims are bad, and right now it's not looking like we're going to cut in January still, right? So they're going to say, like, you got to think about everybody's opinion kind of combined. And I think people are going to say right now that it's looking less likely that the Fed's going to cut in January, and we have weak jobs. So they're going to say it's double negative. But you never know. I mean, this should increase the odds of a rate cut in January. But the question is it going to tip the scale enough to make a cut probable? And no, it's not right now. is that it might decrease the odds of a pause in January, but is it gonna make a cut the most probable thing right now? No, we gotta wait for the labor report Tuesday and Thursdays. Tuesday we got a bunch of stuff. Honestly, Tuesday we got ADP numbers. We have so Tuesday next week will be really interesting because we'll have the ADP data, the private payroll data at 8:15, and then at 8:30 we'll have the NFP report. So we got a bunch of different labor reports Tuesday. Also retail sales at 8:30 as well. So next Tuesday will probably be the most influential day next week. Nasdaq still falling here. Report came in higher than expected. We showed 236,000 unemployment claims week to week in the week ending December 6th versus expected 220K. They also revised the previous one from 191,000 a little bit higher, showing a little bit weaker numbers from last time as well, up to 192,000. So they revised the last one higher, showing more unemployment claims, and they also came in higher than expected for this past week's unemployment claims at 236 versus 220,000 expected. This is what the numbers showed. So higher unemployment claims should mean rate hikes. Wrong. Sorry. Didn't mean to say it like that, but you're wrong. Higher unemployment claims should mean weaker labor, which means the Fed needs to stimulate the economy more and lower interest rates. It's the logic. I'm not saying that's what they're going to do, but that's the logic of it. The period is the week ending December 6th, last week, basically, is what this is. This is why jobless claims are relevant, is because it gives you a more real-time look at unemployment. Again, today we got Broadcom earnings. Dollar index falling down at 98.4s right now. $8, and this is, I think, a 7-week, 8-week low right now that it just hit for the Dixie. Yeah, I said wrong a little bit too. Like I caught myself like wrong, like ugh, I didn't mean to do it that way. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I appreciate you guys being here. I saw an interesting article about unemployment claims appear falsely lower because Uber gig work is up. Yeah, that's probably true. We see a lot of gig work lately. Yeah, the 650 level's battling right now. It's the logic they have to cut more rates, but this will counter the Bank of Japan hiking rates, so this is bad, actually. Maybe. Alright, guys. Let's see if we get in green today. Jump from last week's initial claims. Yeah, I mean, it's higher for sure. Last week's initial claims was 191. They revised it to 192. We jumped up from last week at 192 up to 236. The 192 up to 236 is the jump in unemployment claims, and these are in the thousands, so this is 236K. So it's not a small jump. So, yeah. $48,000 jump up is what this is. Or no, I'm sorry. Yes. The 44,000 jump up. People are worried about AI replacing jobs. Yeah, I mean, maybe. I think, we'll see. We'll see. Again, gold up to 42.45s. Dollar index at 98.39s. We're getting kind of choppiness right now. Yeah, I mean, look, I've said this many times, right? But I think AI is going to replace jobs, of course. Just like the automobile jobs replaced the carriage builders. Right, this is the nature of technology. It evolves. Carriage builders, horse breeders were unhappy when the automobile came out. That's life. That's how it goes. Jobs are replaced by technology. This is how it's always been. And so you either embrace it or you get left behind. This is how it's always been. I'm not saying I don't fear job replacement by AI, because I think this one is definitely, this technology is definitely more universal for everything. And so there's obviously a little bit more risks because of that. But I think the people who do well are going to be the people who embrace it and use it. The people who are going to get left behind are the people that fear it and don't embrace it, you know? And so I think you got to look at it objectively, understand, as long as, you know, I want these tech companies to at least fear it a little bit. You should always fear it, I think, at least a little bit. I think if you don't fear it a little bit and you're just trying to raise as much money as you possibly can, I think there's risks obviously there. I think if you fear it enough to implement safeguards, you know, we're in a better position. Yeah, there's a big drop still, down to 640s. Yeah, we can take a look at Nvidia dipping. Oracle, again, what's dragging the market down. I did buy the dip in Oracle, but it's very small. I might add to it, but I'm not going to add right now. We're basically flat. Oh, the artists. Yeah, artistry. Writers. Oh, even writers are in trouble. Writers are in trouble. Editors are definitely in trouble. No. Editors almost universally are in trouble. Regardless of which sector we're talking about, editors are in trouble. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. NASDAQ still falling down here. Let's see if it continues. I'm not a big believer in universal basic income. Like, you got to think about, like, people worry about inflation, right? And a lot of the times the people that worry about inflation are the same people pushing the universal basic income. You can't have both. You know, you get universal basic income, inflation's going to freaking spike. You know, we saw it. Listen, stimulus checks got sent out in 2020. Inflation by 2022 was 9+%. Okay. And so, and again, it's not purely from those checks, but if you give out a bunch of free money, you're going to have inflation. I mean, this is incredibly self-evident. You're going to have inflation problems. And so I'm not a big believer in that personally. Yeah, bears are out. Higher claims, maybe not getting as much easing as they wanted next year, potentially from the dot plot update. All right, we're starting to bounce a little bit. Here's the 200 exponential at 640s. Bitcoin back under 90K slightly. Jobless claims were high. Yeah, they were good. They were higher than expected. They also revised last week up a little bit. So higher jobless claims than expected. Revisions from last week were higher. So, definitely not good. All right, here's 650 as well. I think this is an interesting spot to look at. Work is good for the soul. I mean, yeah, to an extent. I'm also not a big believer in, hey, you should just work your life away. Like, dude, I personally, I think you should chill if you want to chill. You know, listen, you want to sit around, work a small job, you know, part-time, live within your means. You know, I think you should be able to do that if you want to do that. I don't think you should just work your life away just because, you know. I'm somewhere in the middle there. I don't know if the problem with the universal basic income is it sounds great for some people. It sounds great, right? But if you're paying 30-40% more for things, it's basically nothing. Like it's not going to matter if you get this universal basic income, because you're going to be paying so much more for things regardless that it's going to be kind of canceled out anyway. And so you got to understand the logic behind it. And, you know, because of that, there's problems. There's problems. All right, guys, we're at 642s. All right, guys, we got about 12 minutes until the top of the hour at 9 a.m. NASDAQ is down, and this is already a red day. Like, just to zoom out here, here's the drop we got from Oracle. So, like, look at this drop we got earlier from Oracle. This is Oracle's drop. We've rebounded back up, and now we're coming back down. Just to put this into perspective, let me make fun of myself for a second. Listen, guys, I got in short right here. No, wait, wrong. I got in short here. Guess where I covered? I covered here. Top 3 worst exits I've ever seen right now. But it's okay. It's all right. Risk management. Should have held though. Should have held. Hindsight's 2020. Yeah, hindsight's 2020. Yeah, for sure. Didn't Jerome Powell say to ignore the next few data prints? No. Not that I know of. Did he? If he did, I missed it. Maybe I ADHD'd it out of there. But maybe he did. I didn't hear him say it. Yeah, I mean, you should never quit your job to day trade it, to be honest. Unless you are already making good money day trading, which is kind of a hard situation to get yourself in, because one cancels out the other. You know, if you want to day trade, you can't be working unless you're working like weird hour jobs. And so it's kind of a tough situation. I would just say, look, day trading is incredibly difficult. Most day traders lose money, regardless of what course you take, who your mentor is, all of that stuff. Most day traders are going to lose. You have to understand that truth, right? But if you look at a lot of these marketings from people selling courses to you for 5, 10, 20, 30 grand, penny stocks full of it, right? They'll sell you a course and they'll act like it is just easy. You just got to buy their course. You're going to be rich. They'll say it's pressure marketing tactics is what it is. Most of that's not true. Everybody has different styles anyway. And I would never recommend that you Google some of these super expensive courses online and read them for free without paying for them. I would never tell you to Google that stuff and you might be able to find it, you know, because that's just not what I believe in, guys. I would never tell you that a lot of it is readily available on Google for free without you having to pay these thousands of dollars in course fees. You know, but the point is, you're probably going to lose day trading. Most day traders lose money. Have reasonable expectations for it. Start small. Start small. Very small. Also, check out TopStep. You want to limit your risk, try 50K funded account challenge on TopStep's $50 a month. You pass it, you get funded 50K, you fail it, you lose $50. They're a sponsor of mine. I am biased in their favor. Understand all this stuff on screen. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose money. But I genuinely think these funded account programs, regardless of whether I'm biased because I get paid, are useful. I lost like 4 or 5 grand thinking I was going to be rich in trading in about 2 weeks when I first got started, long time ago. I wish I had something like this. It would limit my risk. $50 a month. You're still probably going to lose. A lot cheaper to lose here usually than it is to fund your own account $4, $5, $10,000 and probably lose that. And so again, I'll put this link up. They recently lowered their activation fees universally. as well as gave you a no activation fee option. Really cool. Check them out. Here's the link. Again, they're a sponsor of mine. I am biased. I get paid by them. I don't even claim to be a good day trader, you know, but this is a great way to limit your risk. Shameless plug. Shameless plug. Yeah, you can have a job and be a day trader, sure. If your job works normal hours, you're going to have to either trade at abnormal hours or get a job that has abnormal hours. That's the problem with capitalism. The rules of the game are such that nobody can ever get ahead of the game in terms of affordability. Only a few elites. The system is to eat up buying power. I mean, what are list the better economic structures and systems that are better than capitalism? You know, because the thing about capitalism is that even the people on the bottom, the standard of living is usually higher than other forms of government. And so we can criticize capitalism, and I get it. There's obviously criticisms to be had. The issue is that if you look at it objectively, the other options are worse. And so at the very least, I'm a capitalist. I think let people compete, right? At the very least, the people who eventually get the power, them or their families had to work for it, right? Versus other forms where power is just blindly given, and so it's respected less. And then usually somebody swoops in and takes power anyway, and things get much worse, right? And this is historically true over every single instance of other forms in the world, you know? And so at the very least, let them compete. We'll have a high standard of living from it. Most people, at least, you know, and that's the best you can really hope for. We can sit around the fire and sing Kumbaya, and that's great, but people are corrupt in nature, you know, so just let them compete, because I think they're going to do it anyway, and corruption is going to be there regardless of the system. Yeah, swing trading, I see Jeremy say some folks are good at swing trading that work a regular job. 100%. I think swing trading can be a good option if you're working. Honestly, I find swing trading a little bit easier than day trading. I think the shorter time frame you try to trade, the harder it is, to be honest. And the longer time frame you try to trade, the easier it is. Investing's the easiest. You know, you throw money in low PE healthy companies and you sit on it for decades, you're almost guaranteed to make money. As long as you pick the right things, or buy indices or whatever you want to buy, really. Don't buy penny stocks, don't buy mid caps. I mean, you can buy those things, but the risk is higher. Versus day trading, incredibly short time frame. Most day traders lose. So, yeah. Options, it depends on the time frame. Options are really nuanced. Like, there's the Greeks, you got to learn the Greeks, you got to figure out what all that means. You got time decay, you know, there's a lot of restrictions in ways you can there's a lot of restrictions in the ease of making money. Like, you got to get like Goldilocks, like you got to get it just right with options, but it's generally a cheaper startup cost, so there's pros and cons. Depends on 0 day till expiry options are the riskiest. So just be careful if you try to get involved with those. I don't give out trading advice, bro. I'm not an investment professional. Nothing here is trading advice. I'm not liable if you lose money. Always make your own assessment. Trade smart. I'm biased in my sponsor's favor. You know, don't even claim to be a good trader. And most day traders lose money. I mean, you can make money with options for sure. But it's definitely you got to learn a little bit more. Like there's a lot more. It's a lot more complex, I guess is the easiest way to put it, versus just buying shares. Options are a lot more complex. My daughter just watched Gladiator. I see the Are You Not an Unchained. We just watched Gladiator. I've been trying to get her to watch it for years. She cried at the end, you know. She's a crier. I guess I'd rather her be a crier, you know, than somebody that just has no empathy whatsoever. I'm not a big crier, especially not with movies. It's hard to get me to cry in a movie. But I don't know if I've ever cried in a movie. She's a teenager. Is Tron Era good? We almost went and saw that in theaters. I almost saw the new Predator movie. I was trying to drag my son to the new Predator movie. He was like, nah, I don't want to go. Kids, man. He's like, I want to go play games instead. Like, all right. Marley and Me is a little bit too new school for me. My movie like Marley and Me was My Dog Skip. Frankie Muniz. I still don't think I cried though. Yeah, it's PG-13, the new Predator movie. All right, guys, it's 9 o'clock. NASDAQ's chopping back and forth after dropping pretty significantly from jobless claims. Higher unemployment claims than expected. They also revised the last week's claims up some, showing weaker jobs last week as well. Yeah, I was talking to my daughter about the movie My Girl. Right? And I told my daughter one time, she was like, hey, I'm gonna watch My Girl. I was like, dude, I would never want to watch My Girl. I saw My Girl once, like 20 years ago. And I'm never watching that freaking movie again, dude. Zero chance I watch that movie. Why would anybody even want to watch that movie? You know, my daughter didn't believe me for some reason, watched My Girl, and just bawled her eyes out watching it. I tried to tell her. I don't even know why they even made that movie, you know? It's like, hey, let's be sad for an hour and a half. No, I refuse to watch that movie. Some of you guys know. Others, just don't watch it. Don't watch it. All right, guys, it's 9 o'clock. AVG earnings after the bell today. I think this might move markets a lot. Broadcom earnings 4:15 Eastern Standard Time. I'm not going to stream it, to be honest. It's not a Mag 7 stock, but it might move markets, especially based off of Oracle's earnings. What's really driving markets down is Oracle. Oracle missed revenue. They expected 16.23 billion. They came in at 16.05 billion instead. And so because of AI and tech fears and all that stuff, Oracle's down significantly, down over 10% heading into the opening bell today. It's at 193s. It was at 223s yesterday. The Oracle's down a significant amount. NASDAQ is rejecting the 650 level and falling down quickly now. I also see Disney and OpenAI reach an agreement to bring characters from Disney's brands to soar. Disney's going to invest $1 billion in equity into OpenAI. But look at this news that just came out today. Disney and OpenAI partnering. I'm in Disney. Is Disney up on this? Again, yeah, Disney is up. I expect Disney to recognize the potential of AI, right? Like in content creation is what I expect. And I think that's why markets are reacting to this. So Disney is reacting well to this news about OpenAI. Here's Disney. Interest is going to acquire TV Scientific, expanding advertising to connected TV. JP Morgan Asset Management unveils the new JP Morgan 100% US Treasury Security Money Market ETF, which is JMMF. Yeah, I think it's JMMF. Yeah, that's what it is. Not out yet, but it's a money market fund. Yeah, we're going to be day trading live at the opening bell today, guys. Let's see what we get. Get jobless claims heated up. Higher claims than expected. Worse than expected claims. Again, Disney partnering with OpenAI to bring characters from Disney's brands to Sora. That just dropped. Again, they're becoming the first major content licensing partner on Sora, subject to negotiation of packs. They're going to use APIs to build new products, tools, and experiences alongside a licensing agreement. They're going to become the first major customer of OpenAI. They said under the deal, will receive warrants to purchase additional equity in OpenAI. OpenAI IPO is going to be interesting. People were asking me yesterday about SpaceX versus OpenAI. Yeah, look, I don't buy IPOs really anyway. But SpaceX, look, you know how hard it is to monetize the space industry? You know, if I had to pick one, I'm picking OpenAI. They said OpenAI IPO versus SpaceX. I'm picking OpenAI for that. Going for SpaceX anyway. How do you think they're going to make money? Question. I'm not saying you're wrong, but how are they going to make money? Explain that. As a public company, how are they going to make money? What's up, Clips? Thanks, man. All right, we're kind of flat right now. Again, here's Oracle. 193s. All right, so India's Prime Minister says India and the US will continue to work together for global peace, stability, and prosperity. Data centers in space, maybe, but I think that's a long way out, and I think OpenAI makes more sense. Again, I don't really buy IPOs anyway. There's too much variance with IPOs. But if I had to pick one, I'm picking OpenAI. Yeah, we'll see what the opening bell brings. We got 23 minutes. As that coming back down, but again, we're pretty sideways here. Here's the range right now. The range, if we break out of it. USDA says exporters are going to sell 264,000 metric tons of soybeans to China for this year, next year delivery. Again, BCA research, they say they're supported for 2026, but only 5 to 10% S&P upside. They see a constructive 26 driven by easing and fiscal stimulus, AI capex, and strong earnings, but they warn valuations could be stretched already. Their base case is for plus 5 to 10% from current levels on the S&P for 2026. Yeah, I'm looking at here. We're mostly sideways. I know SpaceX makes money through Starlink. I understand, but again, if I had to pick one, I'm picking OpenAI. I think there's more potential there, but we'll see. Disney gave back most of these gains from it partnering with OpenAI. I mean, I think OpenAI is going to make money through data, like search engines. I think that has a bigger potential personally, but maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. Yeah, that is a good poll. Let's do it. All right. Which IPO would you choose? OpenAI or SpaceX? All right, so we got that poll live. You can vote on that poll now as well. 20 minutes until the opening bell. Pretty split down the middle in the votes right now. We got, it's 50-50 right now in terms of split, OpenAI versus SpaceX. All right, NASDAQ fighting its way higher here. Look at the NASDAQ pop up. Let's see if this is news driven or... Deutsche Bank says yes, there's an AI bubble, but multiple and still early. Mexico's Steinbaum is stating that water talks with the US are going well. And Nvidia at 181s here. We are rebounding out of this range. Microsoft going up a little bit. All right, guys, so NASDAQ pushing up. I'm watching the 680 level. I'm watching 680. See what we get. Yeah, I'm looking for news. I don't see anything really here. You guys see any news catalysts? I don't think OpenAI is going to necessarily be the leader when the dust settles on AI. A lot of other models are catching up and can raise enough capital to fight Google. Yeah. Maybe. NASDAQ is popping higher here. Copper prices hit a new record high above 11,790 a ton on LME. Again, Deutsche argues that any bubble remains in its early stage, similar to the .com after Greenspan's 96 warning, with years of gains still possible. Do you guys agree with Deutsche? I think Disney's smart to get into AI for content creation. I think it's a smart move, similar to what Netflix is doing. One blatantly obvious issue with the whole AI narrative is the guardrails imposed upon it. If you want us to be full-fledged, why do you need some special stipulations anyway? Well, I think you need stipulations. I think we need to have protections and defense mechanisms against it just because of how useful it is and how automatic it is. I think we have to have guardrails and protections against it. Star Wars recent movies were terrible. I don't know. I didn't mind the first one. The second one I didn't like. Third one was okay. Wasn't great. It wasn't horrible. I like the Han Solo movie. That one got some hate for it, but... Alright guys, we got 14 minutes. Look, I like the movies I like, okay? Don't judge me. Bitcoin bouncing up to 90,000. Rogue One was great. I liked Rogue One. I joke with my daughter because my daughter watched Rogue One with me the first time when she was younger. And she didn't understand the ending. You know, so when I explained her what happened at the end, you know, she had a different reaction. She thought they lived happily ever after, you know. Yeah, I mean, or you're saying that doesn't make any sense. You don't think AI should have guardrails behind it? Listen, we'll be in a Terminator scenario real quick if we don't have guardrails behind AI. I think that's one of the first priorities we should have with it is no defense mechanisms, protections against certain things. You know, I think this is really obvious. You know, yeah, we can try to pull all this money in and that's great, but I think you need to have those guardrails to protect people and everything. All right, guys, we got 12 minutes left. 12 minutes. All right, Stifle maintains a buy on Oracle, but lowers its price target to 275. Again, we're red today. Jobless claims being higher. Jobless claims uptick to 236,000 from last week's revised number, now at 192,000 for last week. And so jobless claims showed higher unemployment claims than expected, a weaker labor market than expected after yesterday's Fed decision of a 25 basis point rate cut. And so now people are worried about jobs again. Markets have reacted negatively to that, as well as Oracle earnings yesterday evening. Tanking markets. Oracle gap down 10%. It missed revenue. It expected 16.23 billion. It only showed up at 16.05 billion, although its EPS margins were better than expected. Oracle is now down 10% plus. Markets are still reacting negatively to the jobless claims numbers. Unemployment claims higher. And we're heading into the opening bell in 11 minutes. We'll see what we get. Bitcoin's holding at 90,000 though, which is good so far. We'll see if it continues to hold there. Nvidia's right around 180s. So Nvidia's been flat for months. Disney recently announced a partnership with OpenAI. It's up a little bit from it, although it's not up too much. And yeah, we'll see what we get. Looking at our poll, we got over 200 votes already. 51% say OpenAI, 49% say SpaceX. So we're pretty split down the middle. R says I'm already able to manipulate to a fairly crucial point. Right, and so your argument is less guardrails now? Maybe AI. Yeah, maybe. All right, chat, we got 9 minutes and 30 seconds left. AI will generate full movies in the future. Yeah, I think so. Which is why Disney's, partnering with AI. I think that's why a lot of these big content companies are partnering with AI, as they should be, because AI is going to generate a lot of stuff in the future. Well, I mean, I think it's obviously the future. I think AI is obviously the future. I think when you look at just the capabilities of it, the amount of increases to production that we're going to see from it, I think clearly the future. Regardless of whether we want it to be or not, regardless of whether it has problems now. Again, look at where AI was 3 years ago. Think about how much better it's gotten in 3 years. Again, I say this all the time, but when you extrapolate that into the future decades, it's going to be really good. It's going to be really good. And so that's going to make it the future. I mean, I think most of these, there's a reason all the richest people in the world are vying for control over it. And I think if I was them, I would too, because it's obviously the future. You know, does it have problems right now? Sure. But increased production of what? Of everything. Yeah, the Will Smith spaghetti video, 100%. Now look at it, you know. Again, NASDAQ went up to 680. Look at the 680 level. Greatest level of all time right here, maybe. I don't know. Have y'all heard that AI song? What was the name of the girl? It was like Sophie something. She was an AI person. She made a song. It's about scissors, I think. I can't remember what the song was, but it wasn't a bad song. Like, it was kind of scary good how decent the song was that was created purely by AI. Whoever chooses OpenAI over SpaceX is wild. SpaceX has little monopoly over space launches and profitable earnings. Yeah, I mean, from what we know from a private company. Yeah, I mean, look. I try to invest in what I know. I don't know about space. I just don't. I'm not going to invest in IPOs regardless. So I'm just curious to see where people side with. Not necessarily disagreeing with you. But I appreciate the donation. Thank you. Get off the internet and go read a book. Well, I mean, I would argue a lot of the books that you see nowadays on Amazon are at least partially AI written to begin with. You know, you might not realize they are. If they came out in the last 2 years, who do you think's writing those books, sir? Microsoft, rip it up. We're at 477s. I depreciate AI stocks. Look at Microsoft pop it up here. Again, we got less than 5 minutes. We'll see what we get. I understand your point. I'm just kind of messing. All right, so Microsoft pop it up a little bit on the OpenAI Disney news. Bitcoin back up to 90.25 thousand. We got less than 5 minutes. Let's see what we get today, guys. Roku, man. Where's Roku at? I thought about Roku yesterday. And I thought about my genius short thesis on Roku years ago. I should have shorted Roku. I told people why. My argument was that Roku was mostly a hardware company. Once the technology evolves to software, other TV brands are going to just produce their own version of Roku. And they're going to lose lots of business, and they're not going to do as well as they were. Should have taken the short. They still make money, though. They dropped from 490 all the way down to 105. All right, guys, here we go. We got 3 minutes left. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? So let's see. If your business is software consolidating people's streaming services, you don't think TV companies are going to be like, yo, let's just produce our own version of this. Comes in-house with our TVs. It's the same thing Microsoft did to get rid of Netscape. Netscape was a browser company. You could buy a browser in a box. You had to pay for it. Microsoft's like, you know what? Let's produce our own browser, make it free with our operating systems, and within a few years, Netscape was out of business, right? Now, TV companies like Sony and Samsung and a lot of other ones are doing the same thing Roku's doing with software, but it's their in-house version that comes with their TVs. And so, what's Roku going to do? Can't do anything against it. You know, people still use it, and it still makes money. But the question is, how long will that remain? And again, to my credit, I said this like 5 years ago. I said this. Should have shorted it, to be honest. All right, guys, I'm going to put Oracle up for the opening bell. I'll put like gold up on the top. Maybe Nvidia, actually. Watch the open. Nvidia falling here, though. It's at 180s. Nvidia falling down here, though. All right, chat, we got about a minute left. Hit the live button next to the play button. If the opening bell's delayed, hit the live button next to the play button, put it in 2x speed. Yeah, so odds of a rate cut in January have odds of a pause have decreased 75%. Odds of a rate cut have increased to 24%. Now, the data next week is going to influence this. But I think jobless claims coming in hot. Higher unemployment claims than expected is making rate cut a little bit more likely. Not probable, but more probable. Do you have real gold or silver in storage? Listen, you want my mom's maiden name also? What about my PIN number? You need that as well? What do you want me to say there? Yeah, bro, I'm hoarding gold right now. Like, come on now. Jobless claim showed up at 236,000. All right, guys, here's 3 minutes. Oracle at 190s here, guys. Luckily, my dip buy was small. I still believe. Nasdaq coming down here, though. Nvidia at 180s. Bitcoin down to 90.05 right now. Showing some weakness at the opening bell. Get Nvidia retrace back up here. Look at this drop right now. I will sell Oracle if I need to. It's a very small position. I'm down like $20 on it right now, so could be worse. I'll let it go down to where I'm down like 30 or 40, and then I'll cut it if it drops more than that. Gold popping up though. Maybe gold's a good buy right now. I don't know. I'm not telling you to buy it, but Nvidia. Nasdaq following Oracle's lead down here. Look at Bitcoin, guys. Bitcoin's plummeting under 90,000. It's at 89.8K right now. Do we rebound here? What is this level I have on Nvidia? Look at this. I'm letting the opening bell play out here. I need to wait at least 2 more minutes before I day trade it. Anymore. Bitcoin all the way back up, just faked everybody out. Back up to over 90K just now. What a volatile day. AI related stocks are down, but I think they're starting to rebound back up. Michael Burry just posted again that 4 excerpts from my piece on Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Michael Burry here. Look at him. Just keep swimming, he says. Oracle's still falling down here. We're at 186.30s right now. 186.30s. Nvidia down under 180s here, chat. It looks weak. It looks scary. Again, I gotta wait. Nvidia is what's diving down here, though. Look at this, 178.70s. Scary. What am I green on today? Oh, okay. Even with my Oracle position, I'm still green in stocks. Home Depot, helping that. Disney had a partnership with OpenAI that they announced this morning. Disney's up. Oh, I'm green in Disney. Nice. Okay. You know what? I'm going to take a little bit of profit in here in Disney. I'll sit on the rest. Green is good. I'll take it. I'm slightly red day trading. I haven't really started day trading yet. It's a little bit too steep of declines for me right now. So it's down too much for me to jump in short. It's too weak looking for me to jump in long. So I'm just kind of sitting tight. Oracle bouncing back though. It's basically retraced the opening drops. Right at the volume weighted average price, so we'll see if we can get us over that here. Go, starting to rebound back up here. Still kind of want to short this though, but I'll give it a little bit of time. I like 625s. I'll short 625s when we get up there. Might not get it though. Never got it. Five, 6. I'm gonna short this. I guess I'm gonna short. Very small. Add a little bit up to it up here. There we go. We're gonna take a piece off, hold the rest. We break down some more. There we go. We're gonna cut that. All right, so far so good. Look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's back up a little bit, up to 90.37s. Why are odds, or why is the market falling when odds of rate cut in January are going up? Well, because the markets are not always perfectly correlated with economics. I kind of want to short this, but problem is Oracle's back up. Nvidia still looks weak though. Look at this pop right here. I'll take 625s if we get it, baby. Short. So we jumped in short here at 625s. We retrace back down under it. There we go. We cover it right there. Got a quick rejection. Tax harvesting, maybe. Maybe. Look at that 625 rejection. Love to see it. Should have held maybe a little bit longer, but we got some profit from it. You give it a little bit of time, but though Bitcoin back up to almost 90.5K. Nasdaq still struggling to get up. Lee sees the S&P hitting 7,700 next year. Still looking weak here. But again, we are in a range. I'm looking at this range. Again, I did take 2 payouts from Top Step this week. If you want to check them out, they were approved almost instantly for both of them. Great way to learn how to day trade. Most day traders lose money. And so it just makes sense. And I'll put the link up. Again, they start you out with a 50K demo. It's kind of like a souped up demo account challenge. You pass it, you get a 50K funded account with a 90% split. You fail it, you lose 50 bucks. It's the best of both worlds. Similar split to funding your own account. They recently reduced their activation fee universally, as well as gave you a no activation fee option and more. Just really cool stuff going on over there. Super reliable. Great way to learn how to day trade. They're a sponsor of mine. I am biased. I get paid by them. So definitely biased, but genuinely useful in my opinion. There's the link right there if you want to check it out. Yeah, we're seeing some indecision right now. Nvidia is looking weak though. So Nvidia is breaking down is what it is. Oracle's actually bouncing back a little bit, but Nvidia is flushing. Nvidia moves markets. Also, this afternoon and this evening, we got Broadcom ABGO earnings. So those might move things as well. Nasdaq still flushing down. Look at Nvidia drop here, guys. So It almost looks like a liquidity grab drop though. I almost want to buy it, but I'm gonna wait. We already bounced off of 550 areas here, so I kind of missed it. See what happens. Missed the buy there. Look at that. Okay. We're green on the day. I'll take it, but definitely missed that one. Let's see if we reject here at 600s. Initially rejected at 600s, but it looks like it's getting balled up. Maybe not. Should have shorted 600s too. Try to jump in here if we flush down some more. There we go. We add a little bit to it up here. There we go. Go and take half off up there. The rest slide down here and cut it. I'm gonna short this too, but wait. I'm gonna short this again right here. We got some cushion, so we'll try to use this cushion to make some more today. Let's see if we can. It's pushed down here. Go. We're gonna take half off. Push down more. Alright, we're gonna cut it right there. Alright, slowly grinding it up. I could probably take a little bit more risk now. 'Nvidia flushing down, just cracking. Is this lows of the day? No, not quite. $550s. Kind of choppy right now, though, guys. Still weak, though. We're definitely breaking down. Took a little bit off of my Home Depot position, just pushed up a lot. Video looks like it's gonna crack lows. I'm gonna buy this now. If I can add to this. Rebound. I might add some more to it. We can take larger risks now with the cushion on the day. But I gotta be careful here. We're gonna add right here. Retrace quickly up. So we're green. Give it a second here. Here we go. We're gonna take half off like there. Got a little bit more left here though. We'll give it some time. Not holding up there long enough to really make it worth it. I could add back here, but I'm gonna give it a second. Yeah, I see. We'll add back right here. See if we can get a quick retracement back up. Then cut it. Yeah, I'm gonna start cutting it. We built up a cushion, took our swing, but we got some quick drops quick here. We'll cut it right there. Small loss on the day. I mean, look, we're not always gonna make money. This is the one account that's been kind of stubborn anyway. The other ones that I have are all like 2 payouts. This, I'll probably stop trading on this one. I don't want to give too much back, but we will stop trading on that one and wait. But it kind of goes like I said earlier. You build up a cushion, you take a swing, you lose, you're right back down. So Nasdaq's definitely looking weak. Bitcoin back under 90,000. I mean, we got some good news, but we got conflicting news, I think. Market's starting to flush, though. Again, this is Nvidia mostly driving the market down. I'm probably going to cut this, guys. I think I'm just going to bow out for the day. Look, we're down small in 2 different accounts. I don't want to risk too much. I don't want to short this, and longing isn't working. So, at least we're green in stocks today. Nicely green. Home Depot saving the day there. Yeah, I mean, you do the catch the falling knife thing. I don't necessarily have a problem with buying these big, huge drops. But if it doesn't work, you got to be good at just getting out and not worrying about it, you know. The problem is that people, like, they start buying here, and then they add to it here, and then it just keeps on dropping, right? Like, again, I don't have a problem with getting out and just leaving for the day. Again, if you want to check out Top Step, I'll put the link up. Great way to help support the channel. I'm going to get out of here. Small losses all around today again. This is 2 days in a row. Again, for everybody that's going to critique my trading, I'm going to show you guys some of the stats. Again, this is since October. Here's one account since October. Doing pretty good in this one. Here's another account since October. And what do we got? And then here's another account since October, which is one of the ones I'm red on today. Again, last 2 days been a little rough, but not the worst. It could be worse. You know, we're doing pretty good in all this stuff, to be honest. We got a couple other accounts, but yeah. Percentage. This one right here is, let me see what my stats are. We are running 64% accuracy, about a 1-to-1 win-loss ratio. See what my daily accuracy is like. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna cut out of here. Again, check out Top Step. You want to help support the channel? Officials from Ukraine, US, and Europe are going to meet Saturday to discuss peace plan, according to Axios. Again, give me a follow on x.com at Beginner Trades. I will be on Top Step TV a little bit later on today, guys. So y'all be good. Have a great day. And yeah, as soon as I close this stream, it'll bring you to tomorrow's stream. So if you haven't already, subscribe. Hit the notification bell. We appreciate it. Next week, we got a lot of big stuff to talk about. I'll see you guys later. Market's breaking down here. My Oracle trade's doing good. I'm honestly green in stocks, which is interesting because the market looks bloody. I'll take it. Green is good. Y'all have a great day, chat.